All right, so I have made the due date for this assignment, I believe Wednesday after we get back from the break. I'm just gonna double check that. Wednesday, March 2nd. So yeah, you got some time, right? You got all of today's class, right, to work on it. So all it is basically the stuff that we've gone over to do with vector addition. It starts out really easy, okay, like collinear vectors. And then it goes to, can you resolve this vector into its x and y components? So it gives you one vector, find x and y. And then it gets more into like what we've been doing, like today's quiz. And then there's a couple of boat questions, boats in the river, okay, questions and things like that. All right, so I'm just gonna give you a couple of tips and hints here that you might wanna make a note of as we go along. For question number 1, the biggest tip / hint here is don't overthink it. All right, it is two vectors that point exactly the same way. In other words, they are collinear vectors.
How do we show 3 marks worth of work on that?
Show me a diagram, show me an answer, and show me the right number of significant digits for both parts. Okay? Okay, for number 2, what throws people on number 2 is the context of the question, because they visualize it, which is good. I want you to visualize this, okay? But unfortunately what people do in question number 2 is they go too far with their visualization. They see this box, okay, that has these 2 ropes attached to it, and they show that one rope is applying a force due west, and another one is applying it due south. So they see this and they go, all right, it's going this way. I'm pretty sure it's not. Okay, I'm just putting that out there, but that, the last time I checked, is not how we draw vectors. It doesn't matter that these vectors are force vectors. Force is a vector quantity. I mean, if you're doing a good job of visualizing this, after drawing this, you should be visualizing which direction this box is going. Right? Think about how you should draw those vectors in order to get a resultant that points that way. Okay. Number 3, it says boat, but it's not a boat in a river. Okay, so it's not a river question. Okay, boat travels due east 5.74 kilometers, then travels 25 degrees south of east for 6.28. Calculate the magnitude and direction of the resultant displacement. That's a lot like today's quiz. So no problem with that one. Number 4, this one is just asking you to calculate the x and y components. Okay, be careful here. The mistake people make on this is to give me the wrong vectors. They have all the right numbers, but they put the wrong vectors on those numbers. Okay? This question is talking about a vector that is pointed above the negative x-axis. Okay, so you might want to think about what an xy scatter plot looks like when you are doing this. Think about where that vector goes and what the vectors for its x and y components would be. Spoiler alert, don't give me compass directions here. Okay. Number 5. Ocean liner leaves New York and travels 18 degrees north of east for 155 kilometers. How far east and how far north is it gone? Exactly the same question, except this time it does ask for compass directions. So please give them. Okay? All you're doing is finding x and y for that one. So 4 and 5 are pretty easy. Okay, number 6, sailboat travels east 1.6, then heads 35 degrees north for another 3.4. Use vector component addition to calculate resultant vector. Basically also the same as the quiz this morning. Okay, similar type of question. But that last sentence is important. They want the vector measured from due east. In other words, something of east. Okay, while there could be 2 correct answers any other time, because this one states it wants it measured from east, there is now only 1, like Highlander. There can be only 1. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, crawl out from under the rock you're living under and watch that very old movie. Okay. All right, number 7, just vector addition, it's 3 vectors, okay, but 2 of them are straight. Okay, you got one that's due east and one that's due north and only one that's angled, so there's not a lot of math here. Okay? It sounds like a really long question, but there really isn't much to it. Number 8, that's probably the most involved because both of the lines are angled. Okay, and it's got a bit of a tricky diagram, so draw it carefully. Scale is important. And then 9 and 10 are your boat questions. And I will tell you right now, both of them are rowing across. They are both rowing across. Okay, so we've done several questions just like every one of the ones on here. So there's nothing on here that should be surprising or anything like that to you. We've done tons of questions like the ones on here. All right. So due on Wednesday, March the 2nd, and you have the rest of class to work on it, and we might be able to eke out some more class time tomorrow. We'll see how we do with acceleration tomorrow.